2002, and I'm doing oral history for Los Recuerdos del Barrio in Flagstaff. This is Delia Ceballos Munoz, and the time is 2:25. I am going to do an oral history on Procora Martinez. Bueno, Procora, si quiere hablarme en inglés o en español. ¿En español?
Yo en español, yo inglés, yo no sé nada.
Oh, nada de inglés, bueno. Su nombre, dime su nombre.
Procora. Mi nombre
Sí,
es Procora Martínez. Vergara Martínez.
Vergara Martínez. Y en la redacción a donde está ahora,
Donde estoy ahorita, estoy aquí con Cecilia.
Cecilia
Have you heard this before?
Porque
Martínez Cuevas. Bueno, yo pongo el número.
So that's the grandma's narrative where Delia went and interviewed her. And so that's at the Klein Lab.
So you lived here in Flagstaff all your life,
All my life
in this corner.
on this same block.
And when were you born?
July the 11th, 1926.
Nina came first. She crossed the border when she was 14. Nina Maria had, and then Uncle Alex was already here. And why they picked Flagstaff, I don't have any idea. They came from Mexico. They were coming from Topia Durango, and they came walking, and I think they had a mule with them. And they had no water, and so they had suffered quite a bit getting to Nogales.
no. Yo vine a los Estados Unidos. Ya se había muerto mi mamá, mi papá.
¿No trajo para aquí?
Mi hermana María.
Su hermana María.
Ajá.
¿Y consiguió ella trabajo aquí?
Sí, ella trabajaba aquí. Después teníamos, pues ella hizo muchos, pues yo digo que muchos milagros, porque ella poco a poco nos trajo aquí.
Ajá.
Sí, esos son los sacos que vi ahí en los botes.
De 50 libras.
50 libras.
You can sell it. And actually, Mr. Esparza built the Sierra Vista Motel that's on that street.
Going on San Francisco.
No, you know what? He actually
Cottage, I think.
brought the stone for Nativity Church.
Grandpa did.
At that point, this is what I heard, is that at that point that he brought the stone and they built the church and everything.
Nativity.
And he got all the Latin Mexican community involved, you know. And then they built the church and they said, no Mexicans allowed here.
Father Alboy was the one that had that thing constructed. And the men, even if they didn't agree to it, they contributed a tithe for the church. They didn't receive that money. It was withdrawn from their before they got their cash. And then when they moved into Nativity in the 30s, my dad said that Father Alboy told him that he didn't want any dirty Mexicans attending Nativity.
They went to midnight mass. My mother said, you're sitting on the white seat. You Mexicans don't belong. Don't you see the name? Babbitts, Bennett, and I don't know who else. The pews. And you're sitting on their pews. There were two or three men, very smart, outspoken. They wrote a letter and said, you are selfish to the Father. A letter. he said it in Mass afterwards. You are selfish and very prejudiced. Can I say what he said? What they should have done. All this, dale en los hocico. And then the priest says, ¿quién fue ese maldito, maldado o maldito que mandó esa carta? Que me lo digan a mí en mi cara. He was mad after he got that letter.
But discrimination or isolation, I think, followed us for quite a few years.
When Joe was graduating from high school, he wanted to go to the college.
Study science.
And so then what happened is that he was talking to the advisor. Joe he was trying to get some advice. Corona was trying to discourage him, tell him that he should go to a trade school, that he didn't think that was a good...
Mexicans don't go to
Yeah.
college. They don't study science.
So Joe decided, I'm going to go. And that he actually remembers that, And now he has his PhD in physics.
Well, he's had it for a long time.
I know.
Well, yeah, but it was the same thing when I went to high school. At Coconino, one of the counselors, I was talking about going to college, and I was working at Safeway at the time in the produce department. And he was like, you should just stick with working at Safeway in the produce department, because that's what your people are good at. So, I mean, it didn't change much from Joe to me.
When I was a sophomore, there was a young man, Paul Gallardo, that was a real nice boy, but he was raised by his grandma and his mom. They were very poor. And he and an older guy borrowed the priest's car, and they had an accident, and Paul was killed. And so we all wanted to go to Mass. And Mr. Killips says, if you are not here, you are all expelled. And then not long after that, a football player, his name was Brian, and he was probably a junior, I don't remember. He broke up with his girlfriend, and he got in his truck and had an accident and died. The white girls, the white people, they decked out in their Sunday best, and they went to the services, but they had to make an appearances at the school for a few minutes, roam the house a little bit, so that us would not, instigate problems. So he was quite a bigot.
I think that's good. Go a little bit more than... Now it's going to be whatever it is.
Okay.
And what about the Reardon family? Because didn't they have a problem with...
No, we didn't have a problem.
Well, what about...
They owned a sawmill.
What about Chuy?
Chuy?
Yeah. Chuy, our uncle. Didn't he get killed?
Oh, no, yeah. Uncle Chuy was 21, My mom was pregnant with Maria at the time, and he was logging with Uncle Alex and my dad. But a tree fell and injured him very badly. So they took him to the hospital there, and he was talking and everything. And my dad was sitting at the bedside, or standing at the bedside to be with Uncle. And then Dr. Seacrest and one of probably Mr. Riordan came in, and they asked my dad to leave the room. And they stayed in the room, and when Papa came back, Uncle Chuy was dead. So he figured that they had given him an injection so that they wouldn't have to pay for his care.
So then I would say we have a problem with the Riordans
Yeah.
and the Seacrest.
Well, at that time, yes.
Well, I mean, and so here in Flagstaff, Killip is the name of a school named after Killip, and Seacrest is a school named after Seacrest.
Charles Seacrest.
Right.
The Killip thing really bothered me, you know? It still does.
Well, yeah. Evidently, yeah, and rightly so.
Well, I don't know why we are putting this in this cooking class. See, that's what he called you.
So I was like, are you all right? When you come and it's never answered, I was like, oh shit. When the
How are you?
I was worried about you, bro.
This is our son, Angel.
We're all good.
Well, they told me, he told me to find
Well, I know, but then my mom was it's shrimp, mussels, chicken, pork, and whatever. That's why that's
Oh, yeah. She stayed there. She's got his family.
My mother. Well, my children already know, and some of my grandchildren also know
What do you want your
that she was
great-grandchildren to know?
wonderful. That she was just giving and sweet and kind, and just she could take care of 12 kids at one time, and she and my dad would, and they were all fed and happy and clean, and she loved everybody, and she knew exactly what they wanted to eat, and would cook whatever each person wanted. And so anyway, she was just absolutely wonderful.
She just washed her hair. I hadn't seen her like that in a long time.
Well, it began as just a project of love, a love letter, so to speak, to my ancestors, because they had sacrificed so much so that they could have better opportunities for their descendants. But it also has another significance in that there's a lot of dehumanization that is targeting the Latino community and specifically Mexican migrants. And now we live in a country where over 50% of the United States favors mass deportation. And so I'm hoping that our submission and into the body of knowledge has a way of humanizing everyone.